Very good morning, students. You are welcome to online classes of Oriental Public School. Today I am here with a video of class 10 Political Science, topic Federalism. In today's class we are going to discuss about what is federalism and what are the aspects required to be called a country federal. So let's begin with the very simple definition of federalism. It is a system of government in which power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units of the country. Means federalism is all about talking of existence of more than one level of government where power is shared among the constituents body of the government. So let's begin the level of government in federation. So usually a federation has two levels of government. Government for the entire country, that is usually responsible for a few subjects of common national interest. I mean to say central government. So central government is responsible for taking decisions which are related to national interest. And the next one is government at the level of provinces or state that look after much of the day-to-day administrating of their state. Means central government is authorized to take decisions only regarding the affairs of state. Means one state government cannot interfere in the work of other state governments. They are confined to their state only. Now key features of federalism, which is very crucial point of this topic. So let's begin the what are the features of federalism. First feature is that there are two or more levels of government. I mean to say, to be called a country federal, it is required to be at least two levels of government, one central and state. Next, different tiers of government govern the same citizen, but each tier has its own jurisdiction in specific matters of legislation, taxation and administration. Whatever is the level and tier of the government in that particular country, it is mandatory that each level of the government will rule the same citizen, and they have their own code of conduct, and each level of government rule the country accordingly the code of conduct made by them. Now the fourth one is the fundamental provisions of the constitution cannot be unilaterally changed by one level of government. Such changes require the consent of both the levels of government. Means when there is required to change the fundamental provisions of the constitution, not a single level of government can change any fundamental matters or issue related to it. In that particular time, both the level of government's consent is required to change the fundamental provisions of the government. This is the fourth features of federalism. Moving to the next point, courts have the power to interrupt the constitution and the powers of the different levels of the government. The highest court, which is Supreme Court in our country India, acts as an empire if dispute rises between different levels of government in exercise of their respective powers. Means in our country judicial system, I mean to say courts, have power to interfere in the constitution, and it is constitutionally granted that courts can interfere in the legislature or executive decision. Either they are means framing the law, means implementing the law according to the constitution or not, and this authority has been given to the judicial part of our country. Next, sources of revenue. Sources of revenue for each level of government are clearly specified to ensure its financial autonomy. Because suppose that if we have more than one tier of government, if they are only given power and they are not having any source of revenue, then how will they run the government? So they required even some revenue. That's why in our constitution it is already mentioned taxes will be paid to all the tiers of the government existing in that particular country. In our country we have 3 tiers of government, so each tier of government has its own source of revenue. Either we are talking about central government, state government, or third tier of government, which is local level of government. Now, the federal system thus has dual objectives. Means, first one is to safeguard and promote unity of the country, while at the same time accommodate regional diversity. And these two things are called the crucial aspects of federalism. Next, therefore, two aspects are crucial for the institutions and practice of federalism. First is government at different levels should agree to some rules of power sharing. Means whatever the rules of power sharing is, power sharing are made in that country, and the government existing in that country required to follow these rules. If they are not doing so, means many problems may rise. So avoid this problem. It is constitutionally mandatory to be followed. They should also trust that each would abide by its part of the agreement. An ideal federal system has both the aspects, mutual trust and agreement to live together. If these two aspects are not in federalism, means we cannot call it a true federal nation. So to be called a country federal, these two aspects are very much important. Now we have the topic types of federation. As we know, we have two kinds of routes. There are two kinds of routes through which federation have been formed. One is coming together federation and another one is holding together federation. So under coming together federation, it involves independent states coming together on their own to form a bigger unit, so that by pooling sovereignty and retaining identity, they can increase their security. Example, USA, Switzerland and Australia. These are few of the examples of the countries which come under coming together federation. Next one is holding together federation. It is where a large country decide to divide its power between the constituent states and the national government. Suppose that in our country India, we have government at central level, state level and local level. Here means India is an example of holding together federation. So while giving examples of holding together federation, you can say India, Spain and Belgium. These are few countries which come under holding together federation. Now, there have been prepared 3 lists to divide the power of central, state and local level government. The Constitution clearly provided a threefold distribution of legislative powers between the union government and the state government. Thus, it contains 3 lists. First list is union list. It includes subject of national importance such as defense of the country, foreign affairs, banking, communication and currency. And this contains 97 subjects on which the authority of taking decision remains in the hand of central government. Next one is state list. It contains subjects of the state and local importance such as police, trade, commerce, agriculture and irrigation, and this list contains 66 subjects. And the next one is concurrent list. It includes subject of common interest to both the union government as well as the state government, so such as education, forest, trade union, marriage, adaptation, succession. These are few examples which come under concurrent list, and the subjects mentioned in the concurrent list required both the levels of government's consent. If state government is not agree to support, in that particular situation central government has more power than state government. Here central government can alone take decisions and it will be constitutionally granted. And this subject contain 52, means I mean to say this list contain 52 subjects. I hope you have understood up to here. In the next class we will continue this. So study properly, be safe. Thank you, have a nice day.